and welcome to the Dynamic Show, where personal development and wellness meets real life. I'm Mariana, your host, here to remind you that flowing through each one of us is a dynamic energy that is ours to use every single day. If you're endlessly curious about what's possible and your choices to create your life by design on your terms, this podcast is for you. The Dynamic Show empowers creative thinkers and intentional doers to move beyond cookie cutter advice and uncover their unique path to balanced, inspired, dynamic daily living. We know there's no one-size-fits-all path, so let's uncover the reason you are here. Tune in and let's explore what's possible together. Our discussion recording today will be about our new dynamic for the month, family dynamics. And before we get into why this subject, let me have the opportunity to introduce you, if you have never heard our podcast before, to our guest, Makota.
Nice to have me here, I guess.
Yes, it's very nice to have you here. Thank you so much for joining us. And welcome, welcome, welcome. If you are unfamiliar who Makota is and how she fits into this dynamic show in the dynamic series and kid dynamics, you can go to our website, dynamicseries.com, and then look to contact us and meet us. And you will find her full story there, unless you wanted to spend time telling your whole story.
Well, I don't know about that, but I think it's very fitting. I'm here for the family dynamics.
The family
Yes.
dynamics, that's right. For those that don't know, we are family. There's so many different categories of family. We are family by I'm the mom, she's a daughter. Although sometimes she acts like the mom, and I like to have fun and act like the daughter.
That sounds about right.
It's interesting how we switch roles sometimes in life, like as you're adulting now, because you're 26, that sometimes you take on that role of caretaker instead of us. You know, like if I'm not feeling well, you'll take over that caretaker role of how you were sort of taken care of, or if I need some advice, because she's been an advisor for us for a long time with this whole dynamic series. And how do you feel about doing that, being that we're in family and sometimes it can be very sensitive or dynamic, or there's so many moving parts when it comes to a mother-daughter relationship and work?
Well, I think that the sentence of family dynamics is a very good way to describe family, is that it's very dynamic. It changes all the time. And us being mother and daughter looks very different from other people that are mother and daughter, or the way that we act, and that's all unique to your own family dynamic. And I think that's why we're talking about it today.
Yes. That is such a good point. So thanks for sharing that, is that there is no right or wrong way to do it. I mean, I'm sure there's probably a wrong way, but that would just be someone's opinion, because like we said in the beginning, there's no one size fits all path. So how does one know the way we do family and the way someone else does family, that it's either right or wrong or better or worse, or, this is the way you're supposed to do it? Because there is no supposed to in this life. There's choices all along the way.
Yes.
And we're all
exactly.
learning. You know that you have to make some choices along the way, and not everyone's going to agree with it. So that's okay.
Exactly right. I agree.
And what I love about the family dynamics too is that, as for those that do have children, as they grow up and then they have children, they completely understand the whole dynamic of why sometimes the parent or the guardian or the whoever's taking care of the kids may have acted the way that they did. So why this subject? Well, It's part of the Dynamic series on dynamicseries.com. And so family is just, the next one that was in the series to go over. And if you've listened to my vehicle video, it's on YouTube and on social media, you'll understand that it's funny because when we pick which dynamic we're doing for each month throughout the whole year, and family landed in October, and it is the month that I have seen, or we have seen, the most family that we haven't seen for a long time. Like, we've done a couple trips. It was my husband's 60th birthday, all that stuff. We've seen different family members and traveled to see them and stuff than we have ever seen in 1 month before. We even had a family member that wasn't even supposed to come and stay with us. So,
Yes, right.
who would have known? I mean, the universe just set it all up. So it's like, oh, you want to talk about family dynamics and some of the dynamics that happens in family? Well, here, let's give you an opportunity.
Yeah,
I
must have
love
just
it.
happened.
I love it. It never just happens. It's always set up. The universe got your back and knows what to do to help you have a more meaningful experience in these dynamics. And although we're already a few minutes into this, I always like to set the tone for our time together, as it's more than just a podcast. What we focus on expands. So let's just take a moment to center ourselves, be fully present, and listen with an open heart and mind. So to start, let me ask you this, Makota. Given the title of the show, which is probably Intro to Family Dynamics, how can you relate to that in yourself and where you are in your life?
That's a very big question. I mean, I think that being able to go and understand family dynamics is such an important part of my journey as a person. And I think that being able to go over it with everyone, including you, and with this podcast is really nice because I know that as I get older, my idea of family changes so much. And my idea of who is part of my family or who is the most important part of my family or what it looks like, it changes so drastically from when even a few months ago, or maybe even a few years ago. So being able to go over and kind of understand how that shaped me and to put light on it, especially like we said that a lot of people were coming that were part of our family. I think it's very important that you can kind of take that moment and think about it that way.
Yeah, that's good because we we did a blog, and if you haven't looked at the blog yet, there is like, not only the blog, but we also did it in a video. There's so many different categories of family.
Yes, very much so.
To our listeners, can you understand that? Like, who is your family? Who do you consider your family? Let's just go over a few of those different categories. And I'm sure we haven't even covered all of them. We're just covering some of them just to give you that definition of how family as we knew it maybe many, many, many years ago was either usually by blood ties or marriage or something like that, has just evolved to so much more.
Yes, and I think a lot of the time we don't always think about what it is. So as an example, extended family is one that we really don't always think about. Do we think of our day-to-day lives and having our grandparents, aunts, uncles, and cousins in our lives as our family? Of course, they are our family, but that might not be the first thing that we think about when we consider our family. It's probably your parents, or the people that raised you, or your siblings. But for some people, it's also their close friends, or, maybe their cats and their dogs and their animals being part of their family. Or for maybe an older couple, they might just see themselves as their only family, or the person that they're married to is their only part of their family. So as you go throughout your years and when you're born to when, you make your transition, the idea of what your family is changes so drastically because of all the life events that you go through. And that continues to change, and it's changing in an unexpected way every second, really. And you might think about someone that you've never thought about before as your family, and then that might change. That's the
Right.
beautiful part about it.
Yes, because in the vehicle video that I did, and like you mentioned, is I said that my top 3 categories of family for me was my chosen family. For me, my chosen family is not only the family that's close to me, even though there is some family members that, we may not associate with because one, they're either away, they're distant, or for whatever reason. But then there's also the chosen friends that we have become made our family as well. And then how about the blended family? We're a blended family.
Yes.
And so anyone that's been part of a blended family, sometimes it can be a challenge because whether that's through a death of a loved one or whether that's through a divorce or through like some kind of separation, a blended family is like, especially if there's other children involved, that you're trying to bring in two whole, and depending what ages the kids are, like that's sort of our story here is we came together, even though my husband and I knew each other in grade 9 and we were first loves. We were together for a while, we split. When we came back together again, then we blended our family many years later. And, sometimes it's a challenge. What do you think about that whole experience of being a blended family? And I will say something first before you say it, because then there's that whole like, well, you're not my real family. You're not, and that's what we're getting at is like, we have to look at the definition of what families are. And there's so much more than that word supposed to be or what we've been influenced to think a family actually is.
Yes, and I think even over definitions, it's a lot on feelings as well. I have aunts and uncles that I haven't talked to in years or seen in years. And do I feel that they're supposed to be closer to me just because they're my first, in quotation, family and not my extended family or my blended family? Not necessarily. And so, me growing up having to be in a blended family and also being in a relationship with someone that also has a blended family, there's a lot of extra layers on top of all these new aunts and uncles and siblings and grandparents. And without all of that, or with all of that, you still have to feel who is important in those situations and who are you talking to and who are you thinking about and how do you make them part of your life if you are put into a situation where you get new family members.
Right. And how do you even feel about that, because
Yes.
I mean, straight up blending our families, like how did,
Yeah, I think it's hard to know what to feel really. I mean, especially for me because it was at such a young age that I didn't really know what to expect or what to feel. It was exciting for me because I got to have siblings for the first time, but they were much older. And so I wasn't really able to connect with them like some of my classmates were able to connect with their siblings. But I also had to realize at a young age that I can't compare myself or my family dynamic to other people around me because mine is unique for a reason and it's meant to be there to explore what it needs to explore for myself and my journey.
yeah, yeah, really good, well said. Let's just go over a few of the styles and categories of family. The foundational family, which they call nuclear in some of the research I did, So then there's extended, single parent, blended, childless families, step families, grandparent family, same sex family, adoptive family, foster family.
Well, like you said, chosen family is a great one too, right? It doesn't have to always be around the idea of kids, because a lot of these have to go around with the idea of kids, and that's the center of a family, and that's not always the case.
Yeah, because some people just decide to have pets. So, and not have children. So that's why the pet family part, I don't know if it's in here, but what I'd mentioned in the vehicle video as well is my inner family, meaning like those that have passed or what I would call some of my angels or guides or something that I know that are around me, even though they're not physically, they're still part of my family. And then there's the community families, like Dynamic Series, Kid Dynamics, this dynamic show. You're part of the family. So there's like that community or groups or coworkers or like in your case, your school. Like
Yeah.
some of your teachers, you become close to them. They become family and during the time that you're together, and some of them you stay close to and some of them you may not.
Yes.
But at the time, it's almost like working as much as you can as a team and a family unit and stuff. So
I think that's a very good idea, right? I mean, that's the way you have to see it is your family changes throughout your whole life. If you think about when you were in school and being able to have a family with your classmates or even maybe with your teachers that you had because you were able to connect with them on that level and have that bond, but you might not talk to them anymore. But for that time, they were your family and they were as maybe important as what a regular stereotypical family name is supposed to look like because to them they taught you things and they comforted you and you cherish that time with them and that's what a family should have.
yeah. So, like, we invite you to like look at the blogs or listen to the other vehicle videos and stuff, and we'll have the links down below from the podcast. But just like look at all the different categories, read the blog, listen to the stuff, and then like maybe redefine what you think family actually is. It is said most families started off that way, you know, mother, father, sister, brother, or whatever variation of children there was, grandparents, cousins, all that stuff. But, you know, what about a foster kid that didn't didn't know any of their family, or maybe a child that their parents may have something happen to them and they're now being brought up by someone else, or the sake of my sister, which couldn't have children, like she adopted children, which is part of her family. I have so many friends, like they don't call it Thanksgiving, they call it, what is it, Friendsgiving or something like
Yes.
that, where it's like instead of having your family around, they bring their friends all around because they don't have any family anymore. Like especially as you get up in age, you don't like the family is just not around anymore. So your family becomes those that you choose to make them important to you. And that could change throughout your life as well.
Exactly.
Listeners, are you getting the drift of this? Are you agreeing, disagreeing? Because we're not here ever to tell you what you should think or what you should do. We're offering resources so you can look at this subject matter and go, hey, maybe I just had a limited idea of that. Like maybe it's so much more than I thought it was going to be.
Exactly. And hopefully that's been the case for this podcast for you.
Any tools that you can think of to really help people be open to having, or maybe even like sharing that, okay, hey, you're my family. I don't care if you're not what the law defines you as, that people can look at like to feel like they're your family.
Well, that's a really good question. I think, the amount of time that you spend with someone, if you're thinking about them a lot of the time, if the same characteristics that you might have for your biological or your family that you grew up with are carrying over to friends or other family members that you never have talked to before, perhaps that could be a good indication that they might be your family and that you might want to consider them as your family and to know that as you get older and how you've changed throughout your life, looking back on your life, thinking about, okay, who did I consider as the biggest part of my family? And has that changed since now and then? And that it'll continue to change. So there's nothing wrong with adding or perhaps losing people in your family and just moving on from there and knowing that it will always change and you'll always make people part of your family that need to be there.
Yeah, and that's the same as people, relationship, friends. Sometimes it's everyone has their own life path. So some people just are in your family for a short time and then they're gone, whether that for whatever reason it might be. Can you imagine just even being open to the idea of, wow, they came into my family to be my sister in this life, or you came into my family life because you wanted to be my daughter in this lifetime.
Right. Exactly. And so a lot of the people that you're meeting in this lifetime could be
something that you've
somebody you've already
agreed.
found and something that
Yeah.
you've already had, and you're here to meet them again for another experience, or maybe for the same one, with just different bodies and different situations and scenarios.
Yeah. But just being open to that concept, like, what if you agreed before you came down on this physical body that, hey, we're going to play this role for each other while we're in the family, and then we might have some disagreements and challenges and contrast and all that stuff, and then sometimes we'll really love each other a lot, but that we agree to, because of what people believe family is, will stay in each other's life throughout many years and just, help expand each other forward, evolve each other forward. Can you imagine having that agreement before you even come into this physical?
Sounds pretty cool to me.
Yeah, just an option to think about. No one's telling us we don't know what's right, what's wrong sometimes. We just know we want to feel good and be good people and be the best that we can be and live a dynamic life, right?
Exactly.
Yes. Anything else that you would just like to leave everybody with around family dynamics as far as make them feel that they're part of our family, our dynamics family?
I think that that's a great way to end it, is that you're part of our family and we're part of your family to some degree because of the shared time that we're spending together, the care that we put into this community. And there you have it. You have so many families that you probably don't even know about, and maybe taking the time to look at it and seeing, where else do I have families, or where else do I see that I am connecting with people to the point that I feel like they're part of my family, and just cherishing that and recognizing it.
Because I mean, that's very well said, and I appreciate that because sometimes you don't always care for your family and they don't always care for you all the time, but that's okay. I think it's having conscious relationships with people that have trust and respect for each other too,
Yes.
that then you can say, hey, you're part of my family, regardless, like I said, of the labels of what society says is right and wrong as a family. Okay, that's family dynamics. So what's next? First, take a moment to reflect what this podcast has made you most aware of around living a dynamic life every day and understanding family dynamics more. Then, we challenge you to take action, share this episode with someone who needs it, or explore our past recordings to keep the conversation alive. Your dynamic journey doesn't stop here. There's so much more waiting for you, so we invite you to subscribe, rate, and review our shows. And next, visit dynamicsshow.info or dynamicseries.com to dive into our resources, including our shop to help you every day. Plus, a quick reminder, all materials shared on this show are copyrighted and meant for informational purposes only. And you might hear in the background our doggies, which are part of our family, that always like to be part of the family, regardless where we're recording this show.
Yes, maybe we should invite them in as a guest next time.
Yeah, maybe not, because 2 of them are puppies. So you probably wouldn't enjoy that because they love having barks sometimes. Makota, thank you so much for being part of this. I'm so blessed to have you as part of my family. And this family time, this lifetime, you being my daughter, me being your mom, and us just supporting each other along the way.
Well, thank you for being my mom. Sounds pretty good to have you as one.
Aw, thank you so much. Okay, so until we meet, and thank you for being on the show as well.
Yes, thank you for having me.
Yeah. So until we meet again, and until next time, thank you for tuning into the Dynamic Show, and make it a dynamic day.
Make it a dynamic day.